Welcome back to the Mr. G Computer Science channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get the latest updates and notifications, and give me a thumbs up for this video please. So let's check out the exam question. In today's video, the topic is to do with one-dimensional arrays and writing algorithms to solve one-dimensional array problems. The following list of teams that Newcastle United will play are stored in an array with the identifier teams. So the array is called teams. And you can see it's made up of 6 teams that Newcastle United will play. The Premier League uses the array to enter if Newcastle United has lost, drawn, or won each of their games. The question then asks us to write an algorithm that will do the following points. Display the name of each team Newcastle United will play, one at a time from the teams list. Second point. Take as an input whether Newcastle United lost that game, drawn, or won. Third point. Display the total number of games lost, drawn, or won with a suitably formatted message. So now let's check out the pseudocode solution. So let's take it line by line and explain the code. So in line 3, I'm declaring our one-dimensional array of the teams. Now, technically speaking, we don't need the array to be declared in the exam question. The reason why I've put that in is because I'm going to be converting the pseudocode into Python later on, just to show you that the actual code does work. So let's just quickly refresh our knowledge of one-dimensional arrays. So remember, the index position of the first element within an array is always 0. So this is going from Everton in position 0 through to Leicester in position 5. The length of the array is 6 because there are 6 teams. The index positions go from 0 to 5. We've then got our 3 variables to count how many games we've won, how many we've drawn, and how many we've lost. So they've been declared and initialized. Declared means to make a variable, initialized means to give it its first value. We've then got our for loop, which iterates through the one-dimensional array. Now, for loops are the most appropriate loop type to use for arrays. The reason why is because we want to process all elements within the array, therefore we know the length of the array, so the length is known. You will notice that lines 8 through 16 are all indented. This is to show us that they are part of the for loop. So our first command that we come across within the loop will print the name of the team. So I takes the value of 0, so teams at position 0 would be Everton. The program then asks us whether we lost, drawn, or won, and then we have an if statement that tests if we've won. We then increment the won count. Remember, increment just means to add 1 to the current contents of the variable. So 1 would go up by 1. If that is false, if this statement is false, then it will continue and do this further if statement. If the result was drawn, then it would add 1 to the drawn variable. For simplistic sake, if we haven't won and we haven't drawn, then we obviously must have lost. So we therefore add 1 to the lost count. and that is the end of the if statement. So we identify the end of the if statement by using end if. Notice how the indentation aligns perfectly with the if statements, helps us understand the structure of the code. And then we have the end of our for loop identified with the word next I, so we know we're going to jump back to this line 7. So once we've iterated through all 6 teams, entering whether we have won, lost or drawn, altering the totals of won, drawn or lost, it will then use these print statements. So in this case we have a string literal, games won, followed by the won variable, games drawn, and games lost. Let's now look at the marks breakdown for this question. It's worth 6 marks in total. If we use iteration, in this case our for loop, 1 mark. If we iterate through all of the elements in the array, another mark. Printing out each of the team names, another mark. Inputting whether we've won, drawn or lost, another mark. Performing the calculation based on won, drawn or lost, adding 1 to each of the variables, another mark. Finally, we will get a mark for outputting the correct total of wins, draws and losses for each of the games in the array. So hopefully this marks breakdown has helped. I've now took our pseudocode, brought it into Python, made the slight modifications required to make it work and meet the criteria for the syntax rules of Python. So we have our array declaration, our variable declarations, our for loop slightly changed because we're using the range command going from 0 to the length of the array. This range command automatically decrements or takes -1 from this, so we don't have to put the -1 in. Our if statement slightly changed. We've omitted the then command, replaced that with a colon. Same with the else. Notice the omission of the end ifs and the next I. So let's see what happens when we run it. Here we have the program running in Python. So let's just put whether we won, lost or drew the game. So let's say Everton, we won. Southampton, let's say we won that one. Let's see, we drawn against Arsenal. Let's say we lost to Leeds and we won Brighton, and finally we won Leicester. Let's see what the totals give us. So you can see here the amount of games won is 4, which is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we've 1 draw and 1 loss. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up for the video, and please subscribe to the channel to get the latest notifications.